Hello, everyone. This is Kristen with the LTRC. Thank you for joining us for Document Review in 2022. Evolve your tech or be left behind. With our sponsor, Exterro, as part of the LTRC Industry Insight Series held every Wednesday. Our speakers today are Nancy Patton and Don McLaughlin. Nancy Patton has worked for Exterro for almost a decade. She is a senior director of the solution consulting team. Nancy works closely with clients to become more efficient in their entire e-discovery process with a focus on the technology aspect. As a former practicing attorney, Nancy understands the difficulties and challenges for both in-house and outside counsel. Prior to Exterro, Nancy spent a decade working for small and emerging companies in the Silicon Valley in a variety of interesting jobs, mostly HR and finance for emerging companies. Don McLaughlin serves as technology counsel at Exterro, where he spearheads Exterro's discovery and review solutions. Prior to joining Exterro, Don served as senior vice president of corporate managed services for DTI and Epic. Prior to that role, Don founded a consulting and tech services firm, Falcon Discovery, after creating an in-house data and discovery management model while he served as discovery counsel at Quest Communications in Denver, Colorado. Throughout his legal and business career, Mr. McLaughlin has assisted clients in managing the legal, technical, and financial challenges associated with identification, review, production, and management of electronically stored information. Mr. McLaughlin has presented regularly at national legal and technical conferences, general counsel roundtables, and educational events in the areas of in-house e-discovery technology, litigation risk management, and cost containment. Thank you all for joining us. We will now begin the webinar.
Kristen, thanks so much, and good day to you all. We got a lot to cover in a very short period of time. My name is Don McLaughlin, and for those that aren't familiar with Exterro, Exterro is a legal GRC platform, the industry's leading platform designed for managing electronic data throughout its life cycle. And today we're going to dive in specifically in the area of discovery and review. This legal GRC platform at Exterro really unifies all phases of e-discovery, from identification through review and production. Before we dive in, I want to introduce my co-presenter today, Nancy Patton. Nancy, so good to have you.
Thank you, Don. I'm glad to be presenting with you today.
Great. So let's dive in and just start with the premise of all of this, which is, the everyday use cases of document review continue to grow and increase, right? From just the sort of standard, litigation, investigations, FOIA requests, regulatory investigations, now getting into data subject access requests and breaches. And the use cases for review continue to increase. And why is that? It's really because of this, right? Data lives in so many different places now, and it's the lifeblood of organizations. And what's, from our perspective, so important about having a GRC solution tied in with review is that it enables both the discovery and review of data in a much more efficient manner, so that there are seamless transitions between the various data sources, there increased transparency, and that you can have far more intelligent and optimized collection efforts, ultimately leading to a more defensible and predictable process overall. And I think this slide ties in with a recent article on eDiscovery Today earlier this week from Doug Austin that I thought was very telling about the trend for corporations to continue to both invest in legal technology, which the estimate is by 2025, corporate legal departments will increase their spend on legal tech threefold, and a recognition that corporations are becoming more enterprising, in the words of this article, meaning that they're looking for solutions that integrate with the enterprise to automate the transfer of data to support legal use cases, integrations with G Suite and Office 365, Slack, Teams, these sorts of applications. And that workflow automation becomes more and more important, and that training on the use of these tools is paramount to leverage them for the efficiencies that they can deliver. And Nancy's going to highlight that for us because it's very much central to the DNA for Exterro review. What are the challenges that surface for outsourcing document review and using external platforms to do so? Well, a lack of visibility and control. This continues to show up in surveys with ACC and other corporate groups. Very little insight into the process around legal projects and discovery. And then, the issue of PII becomes more and more important, and that tracking that becomes very difficult when data leaves the organization's environment. Second is increased data loss risk, right? The numerous handoffs that happen with data increase the risk that data is compromised, and it's replicated in a variety of different places, which leads to increased costs, right? Around both collections, storage, review costs, get magnified when the same data may be responsive in multiple matters. I mentioned the ACC, and there's a survey, there are 250 respondents to that survey done with the ACC, and over 60% recognize that in-house legal technology is necessary. And I think this just underscores the point that for everybody in the legal industry, law firms in particular, recognizing that this is what enterprises, their clients, are struggling with, and what they're interested in pursuing, I think serves your clients that much better by looking at it through that lens. Here are some of the struggles and challenges. We touched on it earlier, right? Applications are not connected to one another. Learning the tools is a challenge. A lot of manual ad hoc processes within the software. And this is what we've worked so hard at Exterro, and Nancy's going to walk us through that. Nancy, I touched on the fact that data sort of lives everywhere, and that's one of the things that while we're focused on review, Exterro's legal GRC approach makes such a difference, and I think can be that added value for firms in representing these organizations.
Yeah, so I think that the idea of I can see the data and I can evaluate that data for the purpose in which I'm being asked to look at the data under the same, in the same corpus, in the same environment, accessing a single place to have all that command and control is a very valuable thing for the in-house legal department, of course, and their trusted partners in this, their law firms. And one of the things that I have been talking a lot to clients about is, and I'm mostly talking with the in-house legal teams, but not exclusively, is how do I make my data available to the people who I need their help. They are an extension of my legal department. They're a critical part of my process, but I want to make this so much more accessible, and I don't want to have a lot of handoffs, and I don't want to I want it just to be easy and automated, and how do I make that happen? That's their nirvana, and I think that we're going to see a little bit today and hear a little bit today about how Exterro is solving for that.
Terrific. And I think that leads right into, how does Exterro's platform, bring these various data sources together in a way that creates more efficiency and effectiveness. And we're going to focus on review, but just to highlight here, this platform approach, right? It's intended to address the data that lives within organizations and enterprises. And now that the cloud is being used so uniformly for data and application management, everything from data identification to mapping and inventory, file level analysis, employee change monitoring, connectors into applications like Office 365, and then, of course, everything that triggers upon issuance of a legal hold is in the Exterro platform. And again, an enterprise solution whereby, from my perspective, I think that law firms, those that are serving organizations, the more they can bring a solution that helps the organization manage the data through the life cycle, I think the better positioned the firm is to manage more matters for clients and a portfolio of matters. So let's dive into review, we've got some great feedback around Exterro review already from G2 Crowd with crowdsourced feedback. Exterro reviews have been rated #1. E-discovery software provider for in-house teams, provided for enterprise level organizations, and that unified e-discovery platform that we've referred to. We are very, very excited to announce a promotion that we've just launched around Exterro review for 6 months and 5 terabytes of data storage for free until the end of January 2022. And there'll be a link in the chat.
That's July.
Oh, July, I'm sorry, July 31st, 2022. Thank you so much, Nancy. And there's a link in the chat if you'd like to learn more about this promotion. With that, Nancy, I'll turn it over to you for us to dive into Exterro review.
Okay, great. Thanks, Don. So one of my primary responsibilities is to show our software to interested parties. And sometimes those are internal resources, but more often they're people who are interested in using our software to solve their problems. So my world is really about the Exterro software and legal tech. I'm going to show this from 3 vantage points today. I'm going to take about 7 minutes to talk about our software, and we even have an opportunity for some Q&A at the end. Okay, I see the time now. It's actually only 12 after the hour, so I'm going to take 10 minutes. And we also have time for Q&A at the end. So please go ahead and use the Zoom chat option or the Q&A option. There's a couple of options. We'll check them both to ask your questions. So we're going to look at this from 3 perspectives. We're going to look at this from the administrative perspective of setting up a matter and servicing our clients, or as an in-house legal department to bring in details about what it is that I'm working on. We're going to look at it also from the perspective of how do I set up a review project? How do I get my documents going where they need to go into the hands of the people who need to see them in a really automated, highly efficient manner? The last perspective that we're going to look at is the perspective from the reviewer. What are they going to see with the document? How are they going to interact with the software? So let's start with the concept of a matter. So one of the things that's really interesting here about the way Exterro has designed this is it's very simple to establish a matter. You just put in a little bit of details about the name of the matter. We can auto assign some matter numbering, and we can assign it a matter type. That's it. That's all you need. 3 or 4 fields and you're ready to go. The next part is people who have access to this matter in a variety of roles. These can be both internal and external parties, and they're invited in the moment to access either the main administrative space or the review space. And it's up to you whether how these people are in the matter or out of the matter, depending on your preference. So you can see how very simple this is, right? It's super easy UI. That's what Exterro is known for, and that's what we're doing here as well. If I don't want Jean to have access to this matter anymore, I simply take it away. We've got a little float over, we've got a little red dot. We know that that's the action that we're going to take. You don't even need to know anything about the software to be able to manage that little bit. If I want to add somebody into it, I simply come up here. These are a list of people who are already established in the system, and I can pick from that list, or I can type in somebody new. So just for this purpose, I'm going to type in Don McLaughlin. Hopefully I can spell his name correctly. And what's going to happen next is as soon as I establish him, I ask for a role. Does he have a more larger role? Does he have a lesser role? Whatever role I want to give him, these roles are able to be defined and configured. And I basically invite him to the party. Don will go into an email notification and he will set up his final access point using his own password or some other protocol. If you want some sort of authentication SSO, that works as well. And Don is now part of the matter. So I don't have to go in and create individual accounts. I don't have to do a lot of administrative work. I'm simply having some people needing access to this and other people not. And I'm controlling that from one page and getting people involved as easily as that. That's the beginning of the administrative steps of the software. And a couple of things to just observe here is, first of all, it's easy. Second of all, it's minimal. You do not have to type a lot of things to get going and get established and get your work done. Now, one of the things Exterro is really good at is workflows. Our software, as it connects to itself, whether you're talking about going from the legal hold application and identifying custodians at that step of the process, to going out to collection plans or going into some sort of application level preservation, we are pushing details all over our application and automating many of the steps. This has been something Exterro has been long established at doing. I think of it a little bit like Disneyland and all those secret tunnels. Our system has them too. And so one of the ways that we've taken our expertise in automation and brought it into our review application is we are automatically pushing items. When I say items, I mean documents, from one area of the application to the next stage of your review project. So if we look at this example, we have 38,000 files that we need to get reviewed. And in a very typical scenario of document review, I'm going to first check these files, whether or not they are responsive. Then I'm going to need to take those responsive documents and look at them in additional stages and additional criteria, including, of course, some sort of privilege, confidentiality check, and then maybe a QC step. So what our system is going to do here is really cool. It's going to take these 38,000 files and it's going to say, okay, as soon as, and the logic you set up is, as soon as a document is marked responsive, stick it in item number 2, stage number 2. So, and stage number 2 is set up so that right now there's 382 documents that have been reviewed and 216 of them are already in stage number 2 based on the logic. It's very simple to set these up. You basically come in here and once again, through our really easy to use interface, you give it a few bits of information. I need to type in just a little bit here and get myself into the point where I can open this up and I can go ahead and see that I have the options to basically create a filter and automation based on many, many pieces of information. Initially, my first piece of information is I made this responsive. Right, so there is my label right there. When something's responsive, put it into stage number 2. But it can be so much more creative than that. You can take any piece of metadata, you can take dates, you can take foreign language identification, you can take certain custodians, anything. You could even make it off attachment status, even MD5 hash. That's a little weird, but you could do it. And you can say those documents go there. And the system will automatically do it. It will automatically assign a coding pane. It'll automatically assign reviewers. You set up the logic, the system takes over. That is a review project. And for Exterro, it's very easy to establish these and then let the system just take over. These 216 items got there through logic. They're already assigned to people. People are already working on these documents. And at any time, you can go and see exactly what 216 documents are in here. Just click on the icon that takes you into what we call the ESI vault, and you'll know their status, you know who's working on them. You'll have all of the information that you need.
This automation, Nancy, so critical in document reviews when so much effort and time and expense can be dedicated to setting up queries, rerunning queries again and again and again. So just want to highlight
let the system go to work for you. There was a time in my life that I did this work all manually. I literally said, go from this number to that number, batch it, assign it, and I did every single click manually. Not inside the Exterro software. It was a little while ago, but we have taken all of that away. It is absolutely unnecessary in modern UI and software environments. The final perspective that I want to show here is the perspective of the person who's actually up to looking at these documents. So this is a document preview, of course, you would expect this. It's an external facing portal. It is where the reviewer lives and breathes, looking at their documents. This was my very first job in eDiscovery. I was a document review attorney. I didn't really know what that was at the time, but my paralegal friend said, come work here, we'll pay you $50 an hour. And I was pretty excited by that because I was like a year out of law school. And I was like, that sounds like pretty decent money. And so that's how I sort of tripped into eDiscovery. But really, we need to make this experience very, very simple for them. We need to give them all of the tools to make great decisions and move quickly. So one of those is just, of course, what does this document look like? Can I search the document? We'll look at that here in just a moment. And I have this thumbnail view. So this is great, right? I want to actually go see, is this thing signed? So I can jump right to page 4. I can take a look at it. I can decide whether or not that's an executed contract. That might be very critical to me to deciding whether or not this is responsive. Maybe this is just a draft. I, of course, have a coding pane. I have a timer so that I can, record my time and have the system respect that. I have all sorts of other pieces of information that I can display here, such as the metadata panel and other types. I have a notes area. I have all sorts of things I can enable and disable. These grab bars allow me to move my real estate around on the page and make it pleasing to me. So however I want to work, however my eyes tend to want to look at the screen, the system will accommodate that. Searching in a data set is really very simple. We use Lucene as our search engine, and all you have to do is bring this open and start to type. So if you want to type for the word contract, and this is true in the main UI too, this is not exclusive to the reviewer perspective. Notice that the system is helping me out. It's actually writing the search syntax for me. I like that. I don't like writing search syntax. I have other things that my brain needs to do, and that's not one of them. And then we take all the metadata and we create searchability on that as well. This is the standalone metadata. This is the email metadata. I love the idea of being able to say, what contracts did I send to my outside counsel? That's a piece of indexed content, and you can just go ahead and pick that. You can just start typing and the system will smart find it for you. The other idea here under the metadata tab is the idea that as you work with the documents in the system, you assign labels. You have Bates numbers. You're doing all this document work. This is Exterro imparted metadata, if you will. It's not really metadata, but it kind of is, and it's all searchable as well. So the search engine is really easy to use. It's easy to find what you're looking for, easy to piece together your search queries and get great results. So Dawn, that is actually 10 minutes on the dot. It's 22 after, and I think I'm done talking about the software, and I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Nancy. And again, questions surface, put them in Q&A or chat. It looks like we have a few coming in. Before we dive into those, I just want to recap what I mentioned earlier, and that is that we are in the midst of a promo cycle for Exterro Review, and we'll just put up a quick poll. Love to get some feedback on whether you'd be interested in learning more about Exterro Review's limited time offer. So as you see that poll pop up, love your response there. Definitely valuable for us. Terrific. So let's go to the Q&A and pop into that.
Yep.
Do you want to grab that first one, Nancy? How does the software know how to sort by author?
Sure. So yeah, you can sort by author, you can sort by date, you can sort by subject line, you can sort by any data attribute. And do the documents have to be coded, or is OCR enough? So there's an OCR engine built in. And so you can let the system take over. And then if you want to do subjective coding of the document, because maybe some of the metadata didn't get captured accurately, not by our software, but just in general of how the document was made available, you want to put in some subjective metadata, that works as well.
Great, great. Thanks so much for that, Nancy. We often field this question, how is Exterro Review differentiated in an increasingly crowded document review platform market? And I think it's the platform, as we've underscored during the course of this presentation, that Exterro Review is part and parcel of this larger GRC platform. And just having the data integrated with other elements that are important, everything from legal hold through preservation in place, collections, straight through to production. It's one of the key differentiators with Exterro Review, coupled with some of the other things that Nancy touched on. Workflow automation is a primary focus for us at Exterro. And then the final piece that I'll mention is ease of use, so that the training cycle becomes much less and it's much more intuitive for end users to get in there and get done what they need to without a lot of extra training. Another question that we often get is around how this review workflow and automation and collaboration comes up, for example, between outside counsel and in-house counsel. Nancy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I've been working with our clients for a long time in the use of our software and in their desired future states. And one of the true truths, and you even touched on it in the slides that you were showing from the survey, is that they want more control over the early stages of the data. They just want to know what how much volume they have. They want to be able to run some basic searches on them. They don't have the resources or the time, or often even the expertise to do what I like to call pinpoint review. But they need more access to the data, just at the early stages. So how do we marry that to the traditional concept of the law firm and other external parties are helping with the process? Do we have to give them all the data? Can we somehow create a collaborative workspace where those parties come to the data? Can we be a little bit more in a concert in our efforts and not just have it be, one or the other? And so Exterro has created that. It really is great for both sides. We also support other workflows. Absolutely. You want to create a load file and put it into the review platform of choice? Certainly. We're not saying that's not allowed, but we are saying that in cloud environments and in accessibility points through web-enabled software, there's no reason that we can't be working in the same space at the same time, making great decisions and working faster.
Great, Nancy. I think that ties in with scalability. As caseloads change, as data volumes increase, how does Exterro Review deal with these increased demands? And you touched on it. Exterro Review is a cloud computing solution, and that enables a level of scalability and load balancing, if you will, that is just so difficult to replicate. And so for us, it's critical to have the power of the cloud, if you will, to deal with caseloads and data volumes as your needs fluctuate. And your individual use obviously is tied to the terms of your licensing arrangement with Exterro, but our teams are working with you real time to ensure that you have the usage and the resources you need to succeed on every single matter. But I just wanted to highlight, again, this is a cloud computing solution, and there's real significant advantages to that. I think that those were the primary questions that came in. Nancy, anything else that you want to highlight?
I just want to say that these modern computing environments, and Exterro is right in the middle of all of that with our software, create some new realities, some new offerings, some new ways of doing business, some new ways of collaborating, and really speed. Exterro has built the underlying architecture for speed. Data ingestion is very fast, terabyte of data in under a couple of hours. This is nothing that you have to wait around for. You're going to get to work, and you're going to get to work quickly. And it's because of cloud computing environments that's making that possible.
Great. Thanks so very much, Nancy. It's been great to walk through Exterro Review with you all. And again, our promo, go to exterro.com for more information about the promo that runs through the end of July 2022. Nancy, thank you again so much.
You're welcome, Don. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Pleasure.
That is all the time that we're going to have for today. I would like to thank our sponsor, Exterro, and all of you for attending our webinar today. I would also like to thank Nancy and Don for presenting. If you are curious about future webinars, you can check out the ABA LTRC page or follow our Twitter at LTRC. You can keep up with Exterro at exterro.com. We will now conclude the webinar. Thanks, everyone.